Sorry, buddy. It is only like 35, though. Oh, hey, sorry about that. I'm just trying to get everything set up so that I can do a video, and yeah, so I'm just gonna put some stuff out there that, not that I'm struggling with, that, but big changes that I'm undergoing. I'm hoping that this won't bleep out too much as the tablet has updating itself. So just kind of want to talk about just some different things. When I had brain cancer, it was so bad. Whoops. Sorry. I don't know if it's going to stay. I guess it's not. Here, let me see if I can put another book on it. Anyway, when I had brain cancer, I just won't hit any bumps. Hopefully it'll stay up. There's like before brain cancer, I was talking to somebody today about it, and how, cancer, it does. If you survive it, it changes everything about you. And, my life now versus what my life was before. And it's been over, 20 years. It took me 14 years to just recover. And, I did it all alternatively. But, there's this thing that happens with people who also have brain injuries. Like, I have a really good friend of mine, LearnShare, that we've done, collaborations with. That, was in a horrible, horrible accident. And
it's green, so it's safe for your family and pets.
Whoa, what's that? I just love how the radio just comes on, right? And that's what some of the stuff that I'm dealing with right now is how weird, and so just putting it out there. I mean, I just have a lot of, trying to think a lot of it through. And, yeah, so I mean, like, I feel like I'm a hotel, like in a high rise, and as I'm talking, I'm also thinking, and I'm, navigating around my high rise building, trying to sort out a lot of the information and be able to put it into, a consolidation. So I just want to make sure that we're still rolling. Yep, looks like it. Okay, so anyway, so one of the things that LearnShare and I have talked about before is that, me having brain cancer and him having this major brain injury, even though he's a really smart guy before, even though I was a really smart person before, there's this level of fracturing. Like fracturing of the perimeters of the controlled mind and the perimeters that they set up, the construction or the construct of this, whatever world we're living in. And because of the brain cancer and like his brain injury, what happened is it in a different way caused a beautiful mind, a brilliant mind. So it made our minds like so much more brilliant, so much more of our brain accessible. And I think a lot about, like MK Ultra and things of that nature, that, I have friends and I know people that were, were subject to that kind of stuff, but had no memory of it until, like a major event happened. And then it fractured those walls and those parameters that were put up. So me before cancer and me after cancer have similarities, but also are not the same person. And, stuff that I've been dealing with since brain cancer, because it was so severe. And there were like 5 years where I had so much physical pain that I vomited from. And the thing is, like, some people are always trying to say, oh, maybe you still have post-traumatic stress disorder because you lived. And you know what? I don't think so. Because I've cleared so much of the muscle memory in my body because I was so crippled after. And I've literally had to develop, osteopathic, hands-on techniques to actually work on myself to unravel my body from, advanced scoliosis and just, bad stuff. So even though I healed the brain cancer and the tumor went away, alternatively, I still had the direct impact of what it did to, number one, the nerves of my brain, my nervous system, and all of that. And, I don't know what is wrong with people. I hate people from California, I'm sorry. But you people are the orneriest drivers, I swear to God. Like, you're on a mission in a controlled paradigm to what? To go work? To get out there and buy some stuff? Yeah. Go faster. There, the thing is in this reality, there is no marathon. You can see all these people. Like, and I'm doing a little bit more than the speed limit, and you have these people that are just passing you. And it's Saturday. I mean, it's like so predatorial, like, everybody's a predator. So anyway, so lately, I've just been kind of dealing with a lot of for like the last 20 years since the major fracturing of my brain happened, when everything in my life came to a screeching halt for several years because there was so much pain, I had blackouts. It took me a long time to get back up on, not really control over my life, but healing my body enough that I could actually move out from an isolated place, back out into the world. Which was a very kind of really strange feeling as well. That happened. So, overwhelmingly I'm dealing with a lot of this kind of stuff. I don't know. There's two major themes that are happening in my life. Because sometimes it's like my life before cancer, I have memories, of that person and everything else, and I have emotions attached to them and whatever else, but it was in a lot of ways, it was a totally different life. And then after cancer and that, the brain fracturing and that life. Now, I kind of like juggle with all kinds of thoughts all the time. For example, one that's been really kind of on speed dial lately is, what if I died from the brain cancer, but then I didn't know that I died, and I'm living in hell on earth or some kind of like crazy, like limbo, trying to make it work, because it's a really kind of a strange dynamic from before cancer that I could really, hump it and work harder to get through whatever I need to get through. And then after, my brain fractured, this reality I live in that nothing works. is kind of like hell on earth. Like, you know, I look at a lot of the stuff that's going on in this reality, and it's just so mind-boggling and shocking. I mean, it's just so unbelievably mind-boggling and shocking. Like, and then the other thing too is like, is all of it a figment of my imagination? Am I creating it? Am I in a limbo because I died? Am I in a coma? Maybe, you know, the other one that's really I've thought about is, what if I'm like in a coma or something? Oh, don't come out, squirrel. Okay, good. What if I'm in a coma and I'm dreaming all of what, you know, I'm in now? And the other questions are like, why is it so terrible? Why is it so derogatory? Why is it so hard? Why is it so lethargic? And then, you know, like, I think for 20 years, I've been thinking a lot about a lot of this stuff. Like, where am I? How do I know where I am? And then, you know, I think about that movie Inception. Because I'm definitely not on the level where I'm creating my own reality, building my own buildings and my own paradise. Obviously, you know, I'm not there. And I really can understand that movie Inception. Like, from the moment that I saw it, I thought, oh my God, this is like shamanism. This is like brain fracture. You know, like, that is the reality that I'm living. I mean, they've condensed it and put it into a 2-hour movie with a plot, but these are the things that I'm dealing with on a daily basis. And, you know, I'm not being drugged and put under. That, you know, I'm functioning in so many different realities. I mean, even when I sleep, you know, or sometimes while I'm asleep, you know, I have people who live in other dimensions that have gone there to separate themselves from this one. And maybe, you know, like people like Don Juan, Carlo Castaneda books are right, that this is a horrible place. He did not like this place. Everything that he worked toward was to alleviate him from this reality. So then you start to ask, you know, what dream is it? What reality is it? Who is dreaming it? Who's the dreamer of it? Who's the designer of it? Do I attempt to try to stay in it and work it out? Or stay in it and become, you know, more like not part of it, functioning? Because, you know, the thing about not really able to create my own reality in it, and I think I'm over all the ego stuff that, you know, I mean, I remember when I first started thinking, you know, like, what if I died, and or what if I'm, you know, I didn't survive the brain cancer, and what if, like, I'm in a coma, and maybe this is like, I still think that I'm living some life, and it's part of it has been designed from the past one merged into a new one. And then today there was like, the last month, there's been like the weirdest stuff in the sky, and, you know, like, I'm gonna go to Hollywood because I think a lot of the fiction is fact, more so than, you know, nonfiction, which is truth. I think that's just totally not even real. But lately I've had this weird stuff with the sky where these things just keep showing up in the sky, and I keep having this feeling that maybe if I am asleep, maybe if I am in a coma, maybe if I am in a limbo state, like pre-whatever heaven or whatever else, pre-hell, what if if somebody's trying to wake me up out of it? Or maybe I'm waking up out of it. And so I've been watching the sky, and there's just been the craziest things. There's been like clouds in the sky flashing turquoise in the middle of the night. The sky, you know, like there's the chemtrail sky, then there was like the sort of natural sky, which I don't even think it's natural. I think it's on some kind of program. Ooh, that's weird. I'm smelling a cigar. See, that's the thing is, and I don't see anybody that has a cigar. So maybe I am asleep. Maybe I am somewhere else. Maybe I'm a computer program, living in some kind of computer trend, you know, trending simulation that you know, keeps reformatting different, you know, simulations until they find one that is a good one for whatever. But it's almost like somebody was smoking a cigar sitting right next to me, and I could smell it. And I don't feel any spirits in around me. So what's there? What's veiled from my mind that I can't see? Or maybe my body's not in a position to be able to see it. Or maybe I'm catatonic, sitting in a psychiatric ward because of all the things that had happened to me. And that, you know, the brain cancer pushed it over the edge. Or maybe I didn't even have that life before. Maybe I didn't have brain cancer. Maybe it's all just kind of a simulation that, because I'm operating in it and I believe that it's real, then the simulation continues to move forward like a game on TV. Like if you keep moving through the stuff, then you keep on moving through the game, right? So these are a lot of things that have been weighing really heavy on my mind lately. And, you know, I'm not sure if anybody else in the simulation or my limbo state or my hell on earth or whatever, wherever I'm at, because I also do have, you know, people who are not in this world that, you know, pull me out of this reality into other places to actually fix me and work on me. So maybe that's part of the mind control. Maybe I'm like more like an android, and they make it look like it's some kind of shamanism experience where something pulls me out into another dimension, a person, an apothecary, they work on me, and then they throw me back out onto the bed in this reality. You know, I have had some really funky stuff too. And I'm doing this video because, you know, I think we should talk about this stuff, you know, like I think we should have a dialogue, and maybe if I put this out, it changes the game. Do you know what I mean? Like it changes the play of the game as you're going through it, you know? So a few years after the brain cancer, I started having these really, well, I did transporting. You can go back and look through, I called it like Harry Potter port keys, transporting port keys and something else, about the experiences that I'd had in my life where I vanished out of where I was at and ended up completely, sometimes in a totally different place, and even in my car. And then, you know, I've had these really trippy things happen that, I forget what his name is, but he was on like What the Bleep Do We Know, and he called it quantum jumping. which is kind of interesting. But the first time that it happened, I actually woke up, and I was in between waking up and asleep, and I couldn't really move my body or anything, so my eyes were closed, but I was in somebody else, and I didn't know at the time, because then, I thought, oh, here I am in another reality, and now I'm in, reality that I don't even know. And I remember there was like this kitchen walls, there was a kitchen door, I was in the kitchen doing something, and I had this really weird sense like that I was a man, a straight man, single. And I remember, looking out the kitchen door, and I had everything set up. I was having family over, family and friends, for a little, I don't know, dinner party or something. And there was that old kind of shaggy green carpet, but I knew that it was in the modern time. And so, I'm just really like looking through the eyes, my brain or whatever else, as this person, because wherever they looked, I could see. So I would pay extra attention to whatever there was in their vision, trying to figure out where I was at. And then, I don't know, about 20 minutes into it, there's this moment where I'm carrying this plate of food, or they're carrying this plate of food out through the kitchen into the living room. And there's this moment where the person's mind that I was in noticed that I was thinking, and they just kind of stopped, and there was this noticing of this person noticing me, that I had been there, and almost kind of like they were like, what's going on in my own head, kind of a moment. Or like they might have been really busy and they were getting all these things done, and then there was like all of a sudden this weird moment where they stop to think about the thoughts that are going through their head, which are my thoughts, right? So my mind, my curious mind, or my thoughts, or whatever, my energy field is, thinking out loud, but it's starting to override this person because they're not in control of their own mind. They're just doing tasking. And I just remember this moment where, standing with the platter, and I realized like, ooh, I'm in somebody else, because they're noticing that I'm there. And then as soon as that happened, I was out, my eyes open, my body was released, and I could sit up in bed. And so that happened a couple more times. And then the last time that I remember it happening, it's been a while. Same thing, woke up, but I wasn't awake, couldn't sit up, my eyes were closed, and I was in somebody else's body, but in their mind or body or whatever you want to call it. Same thing as the first person, but I didn't really reflect on, once you kind of do this a couple times, you start reflecting on other things that are going on. Not so much reflecting on, am I in a guy or a girl body? Who am I? Where am I? And I was in I believe that I was in a college, kind of with a professor and some of his undergrads. They spoke a foreign language that I still don't know exactly what the language was. But because the person that I was in was speaking this language, there was a girl that was sitting on the table. They were overlooking this. Looked like literature to me, because I remember getting the person body that I was in to move closer to the table, so that I could use the eyes to look down at whatever it was. And this is like way more, you know, I've done a lot of remote viewing in the past. This is like a lot more extreme than remote viewing. Okay, here we have all these like people like riding my ass. I just love it. Yeah, because, you know, we're in a hurry. What the hell are you in a hurry for? We should turn that down. Let me get a little bit of it. Oop. Okay. Okay, so the mind of Bridgette. People always are like, I want to pick your brain. I don't think so. You don't want to pick too deep because you might get in there and you might not get out. Anyway, so I was looking at the language on the book, and I knew that they were talking about this book. And like the professor, I felt like this person was like more an authority, and he was a male, and he was kind of standing over. And then talking to the two people, the one sitting at the table and the one that I was in this language. So I kind of like had to figure out what reality am I in. And since I wasn't able to really, you know, it didn't really look like Russian writing, and it didn't really look like Spanish or French. You know, so it was something that I, you know, hadn't been, but they were whiter people, dark hair, very dark hair. So who knows? Could have been Turkish. I just don't know. And I was just in this room, like, you know, this school, college kind of a room, and overlooking this book. So I had to kind of figure out, you know, like, what are they talking about? Like, why am I here? Is it important? Is it significant? What are they talking about? And I got the sense that maybe it was like literature that they were talking about, because I got the impression that maybe the literature that they were talking about or going over had kind of a romantic theme to it in the conversation, that maybe it also may have had some tragedy, you know, because I have to watch people's body language as they're talking about it and feeling, and that's kind of like how I did do it. But I got kind of bored because I just was like, I just don't really understand the point. So once I kind of, that hit, you know, like I woke up, you know, I opened my eyes, I sat up, and I was kind of freed from, you know, being somewhere else, which is a very interesting thing, because years and years ago, in my 20s, you know, early 20s, I read a lot of those, and even tried it, you know, Journeys Out of the Body. I forget what the author's name is, but I read a lot of those books already, you know, when I was young. And Carlo Castaneda speaks, Jane Rupert, Journeys Out of the Body, a lot of the Shirley MacLaine stuff. So I was pretty prolific, always been like a prolific reader and into like whole subjects. And before my brain cancer, I read like 9 books a month, sometimes 10 to 15, on top of working full-time, going to school full-time. But I would actually read myself out of whole categories of things that I was interested in. Anyway, I realized after a while that there was like really no point to why I was, no point really why I was jumping into these people, or why I was waking up into these people, or whatever. That there was really no point to it, that it was just kind of all happening haphazardly, and it was random. And that's when I really started to realize, like, you know, past lives has nothing to do with the individual who's viewing them, even though it can totally feel that way, that it is, you know, if it is a simulation or a generated, you know, thing, then there has to be programs that are running in order to generate it, which means data and information, right, that has already been displayed and put in. And I really started to realize, like, you know, people that want to go into their past lives because they have insecurities, they have self-esteem problems, they need to, you know, maybe become more important than they are, you know, whatever that they choose to do, that, you know, they're pulling down through experiences. Black Elk talked a lot about that everything that he learned was from, you know, basically the great computer in the sky, the creator, the stream of data and information, and he was just a rope, and he would, you know, tether himself into that information, and then he could pinpoint. And that's how when I work with people, that's what happens to me, is that I pinpoint a place and time in the stream of information, and then I pull down its relationship to what the people are going through now and what's going on. And so I know that all that data and information is in there because that's how I've accessed it. So when I started reading some of Black Elk's work, following, you know, the good road, the red road, the right path, with the creator in my, you know, learning the indigenous spirituality ways, it made perfect sense to me because I was doing it long before, you know, I read Black Elk and before I had any training in doing it. I later went on and studied with a Lakota Sioux medicine woman for a year who was phenomenal. And when I was 23, which I think also in a lot of ways fractured my mind, which is a good thing. I think fracturing's good. Tough but good. So yeah, so I don't know where I'm at. Don't know if I can get out of where I'm at. I don't know how long it's going to continue. But I think something is going on. Because I think something outside of me, like, you know, I'm not going to call it extraterrestrials or God or the creator or anything like that. It could be as simple as I've been in a coma for a period of time because of my brain cancer or because of something else, and somebody is smoking a cigar in my vicinity, or one of my teachers is there, or these flashes, these weird weather things that I'm seeing in the sky have a lot to do with that I'm waking up. Like, the reality is the chaos, me and the outside, and this pivotal point is sparking some of the chaos that I'm viewing in the sky in this world. But the other thing too is that, you know, like, I'm not attached to the world being a ball, and I'm not attached to the world being a plate. I kind of lean more towards the plate, because in Native peoples, it's all about the circle. It's all about the hoop. Everything goes back to that point. And just a lot of things that I've read in the Vedas and all this other stuff. So who knows, you know, when they put the filament over us to contain us in here and not let us out. And, you know, it just reminds me of a petri dish, right? So, you know, it's all the same thing, but it's like, because of our wants, needs, desires, ego, insecurity, we have to view it as something that's different. instead of for like what it is. So who knows? I mean, who knows what's going on? And I don't really have a lot of the answers. And, I spend a lot of time out in nature because that's where I kind of really feel like I thrive in this reality. And more nature even reveals itself, to different kinds of understandings. So, I'm trying to, do like Buddha and not have attachments to everything. And then I have to keep reminding myself, you don't even know if what you're living in is real. And how many times have you been proven that it's not real by being yanked out of this place into another place while you're awake, jumping into minds of other people or bodies. Who knows if they're like androids in your consciousness. And one other thing that I haven't actually talked about, which kind of goes into this MK Ultra kind of a thingy, but it's also, maybe this is like a holding place for my consciousness. It's like, this is kind of like the baseline of, where they put me in the chaos and drama for my mind. And then they, upload me into other people and places. Because about 7 years ago, I had an experience that I was young. I was like 25. But I was like a tactical specialist. I don't know if I was sent to this other planet, but I was on it. And I wasn't me. I was me in my mind, but the body wasn't me. And I had to go in with a team of people, civilian looking, to get a person that had some kind of royalty or bloodline or something of that nature. It was so chaotic, and the planet didn't really look like this one. And that's why I'm like, it's just a game. You got your Xbox out, and you kind of upload yourself into that game, and then you play the game, and you can play the game with other people, and then, maybe I'm done playing that game, so I stick in another game, and I'm going to play that game. And maybe we're just not consciously aware of, like, that's what we're doing. And maybe that's what we have to learn, to be, like, fully conscious of it. So, we're in control of what game we want to play at any point in time. Anyway, these are just things like I'm juggling that I'm thinking about, because there's something going on. And there are, I don't want to say that the veil is thin and there's things leaking in. I mean, that seems like kind of a new agey thing to say. I'm not so set on that, but because of languaging, there's problems with language. Some of the stuff we just don't have languaging for, or, kind of an understanding. But there are things that I'm noticing, let's just say that are in my reality that are not in my reality. Like today, the person that was smoking the cigar smoke, like I could smell it. It was really thick in the car, but yet there's no spirits in the car, right? There's none of that. So that tells me that something is bleeding through, or there's part of my senses that are picking something up that's outside of my ability to perceive or see. And then I also have this stuff that's going on in the sky lately over the last month that tells me like there's some kind of chaos going on. And it might be just the firing of something going on inside of me that is colliding with this reality that I think I'm in. All right. That's all I've got for you. Yeah, I just wanted to talk about it because I just, today I just feel really, really emotional about it. Because I need to figure out, like, am I stuck in limbo because somebody else put me here? Or is it some kind of karmic thing? Are, good spirits, angelical, elemental, like Rudolf Steiner talks about, are they having me in limbo because they have an agenda for me and they need me to, like, cool my engines here? There's so many different things. Am I in a past life? Am I in a coma? Am I actually physically dead and I'm in a limbo? Am I an upload into a computer system? And I mean, no matter how I play it or how I shake it, it's not real. And, like the Toltecs call it the smoky mirror, the motote, which is, I'm looking into a foggy mirror, so I'm never going to see the truth until, I can clear my own eyes so they're not fogged over and realize, like, whether I'm asleep or whether I'm awake or whether I'm having this experience or that experience, that it's all just dreams, different dreams. And, I had and I'll leave you with this kind of a thought. I was at this ashram type thing down in San Diego for a while, and I got to be around a whole bunch of people that were sick, as in Middle Eastern, philosophies. So I call them Sikh. A lot of people call them Sikh, but the proper pronunciation is sick. And I hate using that word because in English it just sounds so bad. Oh yeah, the sick. Yeah, I was with the sick people. So it's really, sorry, don't want to offend anybody, but I don't want to lower you down. Let's just say that vibrationally. So a lot of the chiropractors and healers and people that I was around and people that I got to go and speak with and, teachers and gurus, masters and whatever, they were all Sikh. They also were doing a lot of Kundalini yoga practices from, I think the either Iranian or Iraqi lineages. And they also did this other thing, the Mount Sinai healing work. And so there was this person that, I would go to like try to ask questions to. And one of the times he said to me, if past, present, and future are happening simultaneously, why are you so fixed in the crap you're in now? Why are you so fixed? And I thought about that, like shifting gears, like, past, present, and future, which means the future has already happened as well. Then, and the past has happened. Then why do I choose to be stuck in this mess? What's here that I need to figure out? What's here that I need to fracture with, maybe? What's here that I need to resolve? Maybe there's nothing. Maybe it's just that I got stuck here for some reason. Anyway, Conscious Economics and Urban Farm Project. That's inside my brain. And, so, yeah. Anyway, have a great day. I'll talk to you later.